We are live. Welcome so much to this show. We're going to speak about leadership in the 21st century. My name is Maria Appelqvist, and I'm very honored that you want to give us the time to learn more about this show we're going to have. We're going to have a 45 minutes conversation about with my guests that I have in the studio, Åsa Rydhard and Anneli Mattsson. But before starting, I would like to say something about how we can introduce them in the best way. So when it comes to understanding leadership, I think we have to go back to what's the problem in our organizations today. So we're going to start there. And the common theme for both Åsa and Anneli is that they are experts in the different ways on how to perceive this. So Anneli Mattsson, she's an author of several books and a researcher, and she's currently writing her PhD in social work about victimization, that is kränkande särbehandling, which is a term, Swedish term, for abusive behavior that targets specific individuals at work. So she is passionate about contributing how to help people create a sustainable work life. Very welcome, Anneli. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Yes.
happy to be here.
Yes. And also Rydhard, we have known each other for a long time now, actually. You have a very strange background. I think a lot of people might think it's strange. First, you were an IT consultant, and then you became a pastor, and then you became a businesswoman, created a whole company around Story Academy, where you helping entrepreneurs and business people to find their own inner story, because we all have a story, right? Yes,
That's true.
Yes.
it's so true. So she is an expert of actually helping executives, entrepreneurs, and all those people who are leaders to find their vision and mission, how to articulate it in a compelling way so they can be attractive for followers. So welcome, Åsa.
Thank you, Maria.
Ah.
Very honored to be here.
So let's start with this. I know that Åsa, you have had, I'm going to take off my glasses because I think they were in my way. Now I don't need to have any connections on my notes, and it makes me feel much more comfortable. Åsa, I know you had a background of being a pastor, and you have also been an IT consultant. So something happened in your life and in your work life. Do you want to tell the story of what was happening?
In which of my careers?
Yes, but I would say the one that make you shift your life in a whole new way.
Well, many people will say that I shifted my life in a whole new way when I became a pastor from being an IT consultant. So,
Yeah.
But I assume that you mean when I went from being a pastor to
A business
growing
woman.
into an entrepreneur, or yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So because people always have so strong opinions or preset definitions of who you should be and what you should be and how you should express the thing they think you are. So, but I would say it was a huge step for me to go from IT consultant to pastor, because that was like a mind shift all in all. And many people said, this is so different from what you did before. But for me, it never was. And I'm telling you this because maybe it gives more of a background of what happened when I became a pastor. Because when I was an IT consultant, I worked a lot with men. And I was actually one of the guys. I've always been one of the guys, if you know what I mean. And I blossomed, I flourished in that environment. I was, among others, an IT consultant at Volvo with all the cars and stuff. And I worked with mainframe, it's big computers. And I did a really good job. And I was good at co-working with my colleagues, and I had a strong position among them. And I have always been used to be in control over my job. I've always been used to not having a set, timing for the day. I was free to design my day all in all, come and go as it pleased me. So I've always been in kind of a manly work world all my career, really. So that's about that. And then when I went from being an IT consultant, studying theology, and then starting out as a church leader, and many people said, well, Åsa, from computers to humans, this is such a shift for you. And I said, no, it's not, because I've always been that kind of person who love to solve complex problems in social networks. And when you work with computers, they serve social networks, and they are used by strong people who have opinion. And my role as a computer consultant, IT consultant, is to ask the tough questions. When they come to me and want their help, I need to figure out what is really the problem. So I took all, like we all do, we have our theme, we have our setup of DNAs, our talents. So I brought that into the world of the congregation and serving God, whatever you say, in the church. Yes. And I took place with all my talents, with all my strengths, with all my abilities to communicate, to lead, to have these synergetic solutions and visions for the future, and nailing problems within the social network, addressing them. And I think, yeah, for many people that was a too strong of a woman.
Yeah.
Because and I see that Anneli is nodding right now, because normally, at least 10 years ago or 50 years ago, when I arrived on the scene of the congregation as a leader, the image of a female pastor was a servant, like a deacon, see? So, and I took place, and I still do, as you can see, I think.
Problem.
Yeah, Anneli, I
So,
see you nodding. You have, let's give your background into understanding this.
Well, before I started my PhD studies, I have been working as an organizational professional specialized in bullying inquiries. So I have been doing a lot of inquiries to complaints about bullying and emotional abuse. And I've also developed a model for inquiring this, working with narrative methods. So the story is the story helps us to frame the networks of action that has happened in a system. And organizations is built of different kind of social structures. So when I listen to you, I immediately recognize the pattern, because you come in, you break the norms, you point to problems that is probably not addressed before, and then you stir the social structure and the authority. You challenge the authorities by doing this, and then what we know about research on social exclusion is that, and whistleblowing, and is that when you come to a new setting, there will be a lot of expectations for you to fit in, right? And if not, it will trigger different kind of exclusion behaviors from the group. So this is what we see over and over again. both in practice, and we see it also in research.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's like we have this group majority, the majority group, and it actually becomes a group thing because there is a majority, they have a common thinking, and now there is a newcomer, and if they don't adjust, we are going to show them that this is not how we behave here, so please conform to our unspoken rules, or it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
There were also other things of dynamics going on in this circle of people, because they've had a very sick pastor for many years. So other leaders had a roles, taken place. And I was threatening them when I took place. And they were men, of course. They were men. Who wanted to rule and have be in control. And I decided to as I should do, I joined party with the board, because that's the board is the ruling system. The board is the head of the congregation, and I'm there to help them do whatever they decide. It's not my decision, it's the board's decision, right? So, and that person, the man of power, who wanted to have more power than he had, he was against the board as well. So I had a really tricky situation. And the fun thing is that once I finally got fired, I'm laughing now, then one woman stood up at a meeting and said, "Hey guys, you said that you wanted a strong leader. And you got Åsa, who is strong as any man, and now she's kicking her out."
That's organizations for you. If you, because I also think that it has to do a lot of when I'm thinking about what do we have to do to change this. I really think that we need to start reflecting a lot more and get in touch with our emotions instead of follow policy and whatever, and have to acknowledge conflict issues, because I think that is a vast blocking for creating inclusive environments that you ignore. You think that if I ignore a conflict issue, it will go away, but it won't.
No, but especially churches,
Especially, I think
they have hard times to admit that they are in conflict and that they are actually smashing each other, because it's not how they should be.
No, and that is a problem for them. So,
yes,
so we know that churches this year, I think the Arbetsmiljöverket, the Council of Work Life Environment, something. What do you call it? I don't know. But they are going to. They say that for last year, most of the complaints about bullying came from the churches.
Oh yes. And I don't know if it's still this year, but the other year when I looked at the numbers, the one category of employed persons who suffered the most from a bad working environment was female priests.
Interesting. So this speaks also something about in different kind of branches or fields or corps of professions. I think certain have specific strong cultural norms. So maybe in the churches and among that culture, it has some particularities that is more of staying together, not articulating complaints or criticism. Like it becomes a very harsh culture if you do, while other professions will be more open, so to speak. So it's actually possible to, but I think there, for instance, in the police
Yeah.
corps, there is also complaints about, in particular when it comes to gender and women, and I have no idea around the statistics of that, but maybe Anneli, I don't know if you are aware of if there is in the statistics we can see the difference between different organizations, or
Yeah, when it comes to different sectors, yeah, human service organizations are more at risk for being bullied or having a cohesive climate. And one theory of this is because you work with you have to do a lot of moral evaluations all the time, and you have authorities watching what you're doing and things like that. So maybe that is one of the reasons. You also do a lot of emotional work when you work in this kind of environment, and I think that might be a factor that complicate things also.
Actually, I wrote my master thesis on a study within a church organization with like 70 employees.
Yeah.
And that one is called Leading with Emotion. It's on Lund University, you should see it. So we have a global international audience, don't we?
Yes,
Yes,
we do have.
maybe I should mention that, for instance, if we have listeners from the States, you should know that when it comes to churches in Sweden, I as a church leader do not own or found my own congregation. Normally, I am employed by a congregation. And if you compare that with the States, for instance, the most normal thing is that you start your own congregation. So it's a quite a different status or a position for a church leader in Sweden. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so a church leader in Sweden becomes an employee
yes,
by the
like
church.
a middle boss,
Yeah,
middle
boss,
manager.
middle manager.
The worst position ever.
But this speaks also something about, and I don't think this is a particular Swedish phenomenon. It's probably occurring all over the world. Or do we have anything about that? That is there certain countries where there will be more bullying, or is this a Swedish, Scandinavian problem that we are interested?
No, we have this kind of problem all over the world. It's kind of a new research area, though. So it started to develop as a research area in the 80s. So it's still a young field, you know.
And I'm thinking also that when it comes to understanding the working condition in different countries is very, very different. I mean, just crossing the bridge from Sweden over to Denmark, they say it's a totally different culture in organizations. So people voice more and are more open and not avoiding conflicts, and so there's something particularities in each national culture. But this speaks also something about that we have some problems when it comes to understanding work life and what is a good work life, and how do you keep people engaged and going to work and feeling that this is fulfilling my life, or like they have this intrinsic, what is called intrinsic motivation. It's come from their inner side of their heart. I'm aligned with my purpose, or something that is just the extrinsic external factors. I go to this work because I need a salary. So for many years, I think we had a work life where people went to work because they wanted a salary. But I think we as human beings have developed our consciousness and also awareness. We are maybe, like the modern society makes us a different kind of human being compared to when we were back in 1950s, right? When we just maybe wanted to have a work in a salary. Today we want to feel fulfilled. So how do you see this like transition we're going into in work life? What do you say, Anneli?
Do you mean with this constant change, expectations and fluid and things
Yeah,
that
and
are
I
going
also
on,
think,
or
and yes, and I also think that maybe the modern human being, the youths
yeah,
today, those who go into the work life, they want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel
yeah,
happy at work, and if they're not happy, they are going to leave. And we all
yeah,
know that for an employer, having workforce leaving and you have to bring in something new is also a huge expense. So
yeah,
organizations work on having people being aligned with who they are and their values, and that's part of your specialty also to help leaders to find their vision and mission, and you know, when the company knows who they are and they get the right people aligned in there, you have a match, and then they feel fulfilled and will stay. So it's something about creating a conscious culture around it
yeah.
that I think it's a new phenomenon
Yeah,
which
it
we
is.
didn't have 50 years ago.
Yeah, it is. I think there is two things I think is very important for people to to stay on, and that is one of these things is that we all have a fundamental need for belonging.
Mm.
So and that is uh, to if you really belong and feel that you belong here, you are fulfilled, or you're at least having a potential to be that. I mean, because belonging also, it's not just being a name on a list. It's to contribute and to receive feedback and stuff. So belonging, I think, is very important. And the other need I'm thinking about is that we don't. I think that the time are forcing us to understand that maybe we should not work 40 hours per week. Uh, I think we need to find a balance with other aspects of life, and don't strive to have everything from a position, a professional outcome, or things like that. So I think that is we are running so fast this time, this at this moment across the globe, I
Mm.
think, and we need to slow down. So I think we need to slow down, and we need belonging.
Mm. So then actually the coronavirus has a purpose because it makes us all slow down
Yeah,
and connect more with family, and we're cultivating belonging. It becomes at least important for people who didn't know they
yeah,
want connection, that it is important.
yeah, and we might see some positive effects of this eventually, even if
Mm.
it's hard to see it right now. I
Mm.
think that we have to reflect on what is important.
Åsa, what's your opinion about my theory of we are creating something new, and a new kind of culture or at work, or that's what we're yearning for as individuals?
Why we, what you mean, what makes us thrive at work?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking when I listen to you, that of course belonging, a sense of belonging is always important. And I know for a fact, for instance, that I myself from time to time have chosen when I went search for a new job, I chosen places where I felt this is a place where I can belong. But I actually lately have been scanning the web for research about what makes people thrive at work or stay at work and want to contribute. And there is an aspect about feeling belong, having the feeling of being a part of a group, and that is having a mission.
Mm.
Says you contribute and you make a difference, just as you said, Anneli. And the thing is, since I come from the church, this is something we've known for ages. This is what we do because people come and join the church work for just voluntarily, because they feel that, one, this is a place where I want to belong, and this is a place where I can contribute, and this is a place where I can make a huge difference that is important. So I want to show up because there is my friends, and we have important job to do together. And when we do that, we feel joy.
Yeah.
So, and what we can see today is that those businesses who help their employees to find out what their mission, their personal mission is, and that they make sure that they pick the people who can match the business mission, you know, because you need to pick have a match between the business mission and the employee's mission. And then you constantly remind them that this is, we are on a joint journey to change the world or save the world or whatever we are doing in this business. But you constantly have to remind them and bring them on a quest to do something important.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you will have a happy workforce, so they will stay forever, because they can't leave when it's important for them, for the world. In short.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So I've been pondering about this question for a very long time, and I think that is what made me transition into being more interested in leadership, because in my research I realized that even though people who work in or now we're talking about the public service sector, so the different bureaucracies, so people that are employed in the state, even though they were having a formal leadership position, they were not willing to take responsibility and use their capacity to act. So we all have certain kind of range where we can act. So I can choose to see it big like this or very narrow-minded, right?
You're talking about discretion, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's the right term for it. And that made me really curious into why are not people using, why are they being so narrow-minded? And that took me into the understanding that some people are really, they know who they are and why they are having this particular work, because they have a mission, they're aligned with their mission. So they know there is a reason for them to be there. And the others felt more of they having a job, they're just doing their duties, nothing more. So that made me really interested in helping people finding that inner capacities in themselves, and how do you do it? And with years, I came to my understanding of our psychological needs and how we all have belonging as one, but we have also other needs of contribution, for instance, or development, which is one of the reasons why I'm contributing to this show, right? Because it feeds my need of contribution, and I'm helping in developing thoughts, ideas.
Yeah.
So it's something about when we feed our needs every day, we can feel we're in flow, we're motivated. And I think flow, yeah. And I think that is a leadership capacity, to be able to see that amongst your coworkers. I mean, if you can see who they are and what their needs are, and you can help them find a way how to feed it, you also get more motivation at work.
Yeah.
So funny. I just read about flow today.
Yes.
in a scientific article. And the thing is that people who are used to be in flow regularly are also more prone to be inclusive, forgiving, creative, supporting, and that's really interesting. But I think that's connected, my own little theory of today. It's connected to the fact that people who are in flow are really allowed to deep dive into the things that are most interesting and satisfying to them. And that makes them fulfilled. And it also connects and supports their self-esteem in a great way. And people who are safe and secure in themselves are also more declined to support others. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. I would say that leadership has. I think if you set on to reduce uncertainty, because uncertainty blocks everything. It trumps out every other aspect. So members of, I mean, in the crisis is going on right now, people have to leave their job, their business is going down hills, and they are afraid. It's uncertainty. So and that is you can't talk that away, because that is reality, right? So when the crisis is over and people have to think about thriving work environments and how to make a flourish work environment, I think it's very important to reduce uncertainty in all different kind of ways.
Yes.
Because if people, as you say, also feels certain, they can have the luxury of flourishing also, I think.
Yeah, because the thing is, because we talked earlier about your research, and that normally when we think about individual situation in an organization, we think about the individual, and we do research about single people's, how they relate to things that happen. And many times when we talk about conflicts or problems within an organization, we think that there is only one person we have to handle. We need to make one person happy, or not being angry or in conflict or whatever it is. But the thing is that this is all happening in the web of the organization.
Yeah,
so
of
it
course.
doesn't matter if the web of the organization allows certain things to happen. That will happen again, despite if we are taking someone away, or curing a specific person's problems, or helping them to grow, or whatever. If the organization is not supporting the right culture, the right agendas, the right values, the right way to work, it will never be a good organization, because it's not up to the individual, sorry to say. But I think lately many have realized that we are not as individualistic as we think we are.
No, we're interconnected.
No, we are a social cohort of people who are interdependent of each other.
But I
So
really
it doesn't matter.
But I really have a miracle question, or what do you call it? I think that because in bullying and certainly in real life, there is a constant debate over is this an abusive behavior? Is this person being bullied? And you get stuck in that debate. And I think you should pull yourself one level up and instead ask, is this person included? Is everybody included in the work environment? And how am I supposed to assure that as a leader, that people are included? So don't ask if someone is excluded. Ask if it, how do we ensure that everybody is included? So then you don't have to focus on the individual. And
no, good.
And so, yeah, that's great. So that means really that this topic, we transition into that this is a leadership issue. It's something about how in the past, I would say, because I hope it's not the future of leadership, but the leadership we have seen so far enough for being that aware, for understanding this. So they haven't been capable of creating an inclusive environment
Right.
and where people feel they belong
Right.
and they feel secure and safe.
That's right.
So the question is like, what
I'm
do
losing
you
you now.
need? Like, what is the characteristics you need?
I couldn't hear you. I lost you.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. So I'm wondering what kind of characteristics is it you need as a leader for being able to create that environment where your coworkers feel safe and heard and being included and
Yeah.
feeling security.
I think what comes to mind spontaneously is guts.
Yeah, courage.
Courage. You need
Mm.
courage to, to, as I said before, acknowledge conflicts, uh,
Mm.
to stand still when everything is rocking the organization. You have to stand still and not leaving, not
Mm.
leave the people in in despair. You have to dive in the conflicts.
Mm.
So guts, I would say, is guts and empathy,
Mm.
self-reflection, being able to take charge of social responsibility, to see what is ethical and what is not ethical in
Mm.
the organization, and yeah, and face it. Uh,
Mm.
Yeah,
face
face
the
it, as
problem.
step up as a leader.
Yeah,
And sometimes we say that speaking in public is the the worst fear people have, that they would rather die than speaking in
yeah,
front of other people.
yeah,
um, but speaking in public is actually stepping up as a leader.
Mm.
So you could say that stepping up as a leader is something that scares the shit out of people. Sorry.
Mm.
And when I went to preschool, we had this saying that you have your duties and then you have your damned duties. And the damned duties are the things that you really don't want to do, but it's your duties because you are a leader. And
yeah.
somewhere you need to realize that you are one of the pack. You should be one with your people. You should go with your group.
Right, right.
But at certain
Mm.
times, you need to step out of the group. That's like when you are a public speaker. You
Yeah,
need to step out of the group and take charge.
yeah,
Mm.
And that's guts, because then,
Yeah.
for humans, stepping outside of the group and then addressing the group as if you were still in the group with that kind of courage and self-esteem and self-confidence and whatever you need. That's a huge thing. It takes its woman.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's really fascinating because you were just nailing the topic that's coming next. There's going to be a break, someone else is taking over, and then I'm going to come back with a conversation with Yasmin Arhab Morer. And we're going to fascinating how you nailed the next topic, how we're breaching and also great to hear that we all are sharing the same perspective of understanding leadership and what's really needed. What do you think is stopping leaders from being courageous? Åsa?
I think that's different from different people, but I want to tell you a story.
Of course, you're a storyteller.
When I was studying to be the church leader, which is a very special leadership position, we don't have to dwell upon that. I met a lot of women, especially, who said straight out, "I don't want to be a leader. I'm not a leader." And they were going to be a pastor just like me, leading a congregation. So I really don't know why they applied for this kind of a job. But the problem is, it's not that they did that. The problem is that they were not aware of what a true leader is, and especially not what their own leadership style was. And they had this kind of odd imagination or a little square box thinking about what a leader should be or is. And they didn't think that they fit into that. So they said, I'm not a leader. But I'm sure they were very good leaders. But if you don't know that you are a good leader because you don't think that you match the general image of what a leader is, it's hard to step up as a leader and say, I am a leader, because you feel like a fake perhaps, or you feel like you're not sure of if you are doing the right things or not.
Yeah.
So you need to discover your own leadership style and get help to develop.
It takes.
I was just when you're saying this story, I was just thinking about a vulnerability that you also have to be able to, and that is where courage comes in. You have to be aware that everybody is vulnerable, and so is the leader. And to embrace that, really, I think is important, because then you are not going to be that scared of being criticized.
No, because I think the key to being a sustainable leader for the future, since I've been deep diving into that, and based on my previous knowledge, is that you need to be authentic as a leader.
Of course.
Because that was I said, you need to find your own leadership style. You need to understand your own professional DNA, as I call it, who you are and what you could be and what is your favorite thing. So you end up in the right position. So you are in the kind of leadership position that you actually can fulfill. Because to be a sustainable leader, you need to be able to be authentic.
Yeah.
And
that is very important.
If you are authentic, you can also be transparent.
Right.
And transparency these days is not an option. You need to be able to be comfortable with being transparent.
Yeah.
Because you can't hide anywhere.
That's right.
So and going around through life and as a leader trying to be someone else that you are not, you will end up burned out or exhausted or whatever. It's not a good match at all.
Very good.
No.
Previously today we were speaking when I had a conversation with Erika Mikason about great news. We were speaking about being true to yourself, and I think people have positions that becomes more like a role play, so it's not an authentic expression of me. And maybe you have a leadership position or you're a manager, but it becomes a role rather than this is who I am, and you're actually liking what you're doing, and you're having vision and how you can use your capacity to act within the circumstances. So knowing yourself and follow your heart is part of that leadership. For the courage to be vulnerable and
loving yourself, allowing yourself to be yourself. See what I mean?
Yeah, because it all starts with you.
Yeah,
you have to start with yourself. It's time to wrap up. Thank you so much for this conversation we had. It was I love to have you both on. I think we had a great conversation. And what's the way to learn more about you, Åsa? How can people find you? Where do they go?
Oh, you can just Google me, because there is no one else like me in the whole world.
Yes, it's true.
It's true.
It's true.
If you can spell my name, that is.
Yes.
But I have a web page, and I have a YouTube channel with a few deep diving interviews within the theme Breaking Framed Conversations in English. And I also have a Swedish YouTube channel, and you'll find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you don't want to check into my web page, of course. So just send me a message if you want to talk about something or need my
Yes.
help. I'm here.
Thank you. And Anneli, what's the way for connecting with you?
Either you could search me on Malmö Universitet, or you could go on my homepage, and that is annelimattsson.com.
And I also learned that you are actually helping people with conversations if they have been exposed to bullying or feeling that they are in an abusive work environment.
Well, yeah, I used to do that. Mostly, I work with inquiries, but
Okay, good. So all good. So I'm grateful that you were watching this show. My name is Maria Appelqvist, and it's very easy to find me as well. And I look forward to meet you all again, maybe in 45 minutes, when we're having a conversation about courageous leadership and then graceful leadership. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you again, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ska